Hey, so today I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a pick a few, um, just because I want to use like I got this new webcam and I haven't even used the little camera app to be able to like pause it. I caught myself doing it that one day I went to the store, but I accidentally ended up just stopping the video. So that's when I did Should You Stay or Should You Go on my Legacy channel. That accidental upload. um, so what I'm going to be doing is get a overall manifestation. It's number 29. It says prosperity, fortune, and pure intentions. So let's set that intention now. So the intention is to get something that will benefit you in this now moment. And then we have isolation number 25. So I'm going to be doing 3. I actually want to do 2. And I'll pull from the top and from the bottom. And we'll do 3 stats. So go ahead and meditate on your number now. I ain't putting nothing down. I might flip the top card. And what's the number I'm feeling? I'm feeling number 7 today. So I'll do 2 of these and 5. And 5 of the other cards. Okay. And I'm doing this with y'all because why not? You know what I mean? I love these cards because I was looking at the 7 of Cups because it was at the bottom of the deck. I was shuffling up for myself. And that tooth in the middle of the 6 cups and then the wings on the top of the 7, it's like, because the tooth symbolizes experience. No, it symbolizes wisdom. Oh, sorry. I was like, well, with these 6 cups, we kind of sort of get the wisdom that we need to really go after that option. Or it's a situation where we need to apply wisdom to choose to make the correct choice. So in this now moment, what do we need? I love these cards so much. And I wish I could see it how I see it. I know it's really, really bright. I turned off the pro settings hoping that it would like auto do stuff. That it would like auto adjust the light. Because from where I sit, like it's much brighter on screen than it is in my room right now. Which is typically ideal, but for these cards, you'll just have to trust me. That was an interesting shuffle. This one right here. Alright. I got my little cheat sheet card. Oh, I gotta turn them upside down. Oh, goodness, almost. Girl, I just got you. Don't be trying to go all bendy crazy on me already, please. So, this will be pile 1. This is pile 2. This is pile 3. And I'm gonna grab my phone if I can find it. And take this thumbnail real quick. Or take a picture for the thumbnail. You know what I mean? I know you're gonna. set it down and it just disappears on me. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Girl, she's really hiding today. Okay, well, work. Siri said no thumbnail. I'll just pick one from the middle of the video, I guess. Or I could take one after. No, I really see. Alright, it's time to go with the flow, y'all. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1. Things that will benefit us now. And I'll do it. Alright, Power Winners, welcome in. So if you chose Pile 1, this will be for you. And we're going to start at the top, get an overall, and then we'll flip these over. Actually, we'll do this side first, and then this side. But I do want to go Oracle first. No, I want to do Oracle last. So, crowning all of this is the Nine of Wands. I see some... I thought I saw some wings in here. Oh, wait, there are some wings up here. Wings, there's a crystal. There's a few crystals, actually. We have the 9 Wands. The 9 of Wands is a card of determination. And it's really interesting because we got some pretty, like, girthy, thick wands. Oh, that's an arrow. And then we have an arrow sort of in the middle. We have 5 wands forming the star, and then 4 wands sort of framing it, and a mandorla of sorts, right? You probably won't be able to see this. Oh, almost got an angle. Almost got an angle. You'll have to trust me. Oh, wait, you can kind of see it in there. And then there's just this one arrow just shooting up. Now let's see. I'm using the cheat sheet. So I want to see what they symbolize arrows as. So I know the crystals are abundance. The wings are about swift movement, innocence, young energy. And the arrow is also movement, right? Forward motion and energy. Okay. So this is saying that, well, let's do the 4 and the 5. The 4 is security, organization, manifesting. The 5 is change, conflict, and uncertainty. So you're being asked to find security in this space of uncertainty. And it is that very space of uncertainty that gives rise to everything you're kind of sort of wanting, or everything you've been going after with that 9 of Wands. The 9 of Wands is the suit of Wands can speak to passion, but it can also speak to an arduous journey, because it isn't necessarily extremely easy for us to turn maybe something that was oh my gosh. I ruin everything I touch. It isn't necessarily easy for us to turn something of passion into something that I guess I don't really want to say we can profit off of, but something that can sustain us. And also, when we're talking about our own passions, we have to measure and meet that against other people's passions, right? What we want to do for ourselves versus what other people want us to do for them, and what we want to do for other people. And with the 9 of Wands, this is like it's almost the 10, and so it's almost getting dangerously close to allowing what we want to do for others to interfere with what we do for ourselves. But there's also an innocence here and a joy here. And again, it's a passion area, but it may not have been one that you found stability in the past, and you're being asked to. You're being asked to stick with it. Whatever you're working on right now, you're being asked to stick with it, to see it through. It can lead to abundance, but if you put pressure on it, it's going to get it to crack. Now let's start over here. We have the Five of Swords and the Sovereign of Swords. So this is the Queen of Swords energy. And we see the butterfly wings again at the top. There's a crown. On the crown, crescent moons, roses, that's love. And then over here in the Five of Swords, let's see if anything jumps out. Looks like there are crystals coming off of the swords, or on the hilt of the swords. It looks like there are crystals on two of them. And they have crescent, moon, pommel stones, I think that's what they're called. There's two root systems. It almost looks like a pair of lungs. And then a snake, maybe? I don't know if you'll be able to see these. I'll just do this for a second. Let me see if you can catch a glimmer. Pause it if you can get it. So over here we have the Sovereign of Swords and the Five of Swords. Now the Five of Swords again speaks to that element of uncertainty. But this is, so up here it's like you don't know if something will necessarily play out or pan out. With, and it's sort of, it's affecting you in the mental. There's almost this element of someone who may think that they're being selfish if they go after what they want. But sometimes you have to do what's right for you before you can do good by someone else, right? And especially when times are uncertain, it may be better for you to pull back and to assure yourself. Because then, if you do try to be a foundation for someone else, you'll be more solid, right? And it's like people can't really lean on you if you're teetering and wobbling. It may be related to money. It almost feels like money isn't um, the prime focus here, because these crystals aren't huge and it's not the suit of coins, but crystals are present. And then there's also the space of indecision or a decision that you need to make, because there are two swords with the sort of crescent moon pommel stone, and then three that have more, standard pommel stones. And the one with the crescent moons have crystals on the hilt. So you may be at a sort of crossroads in how you get this abundance. And then over here, you can't really see it, but here's the sword, and this sword doesn't have that. This is one of the standard swords with butterfly wings at the top, pretty small, and then two roses. So I think it's like while you move forward, it's not to feel like you're neglecting those that you love or care for. You may need to communicate more of the space that you're in. Because with the Five of Swords, that can also be a lot of mental turmoil and a lot of mental anguish. It isn't the Nine of Swords, but this is a space where it's like you're more so combative. It's a lot more active than the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is like mental anguish and turmoil that sort of hits you when you're trying to get to sleep. It keeps you up at night. This could be like arguments that you're having with people, clashing of ideas and ideals, and how something should be done. And with the Suit of Wands, especially the Nine of Wands, this is kind of sort of about you doing it the way that you feel led to do it. Because if you try to do it someone else's way, it won't necessarily work out the way that they think it will for you and the way that you want. Also, the two swords with the crescent hilts are in the background. They're behind three cross swords. So there's this three of swords. Yeah, and these do kind of look like lungs too. So if the three of swords is the heart here, that would kind of make sense. But there are roots in these lungs, and roots in this deck symbolize community and maybe also communication. Let me check the cheat card real quick. Roots are community, growth, uprooting, nurture, and connection. You may be too close to someone or something, and it may be suffocating you a little bit. And with the Sovereign of Swords, it's like your voice is being stifled. You can't think your own thoughts because someone else is there criticizing you at every single moment. And with this lung feeling, like it needs to breathe, right? It needs room to breathe, it needs space to breathe. You inhale air from the outside and then you exhale. But you don't exhale the same gases that you inhale. And so it's not for you to necessarily not listen to anybody else. But at the same time, what you spit out shouldn't be exactly what someone else put into you. It should be something that's yours. You integrate what you need from other people, you process it, and then you exhale your truth. And that's what this Queen of Swords, this Sovereign of Swords energy is. It's speaking your truth, it's exhaling your truth. There's a lot that maybe you've played the observer role, especially with these two swords down here. This is like kind of sort of like a high priestess energy I'm feeling, but she's not in her power because she's not trusting her own insight and her own intuition. And that's why it's laid behind these three of swords. And it's like, as long as you continue to sort of mute yourself for the sake of other people, you'll kind of always be stuck in some area. And it's for you again to claim the power of your voice. Now, the oracle card that came out is Awakening. It's number 3. It says ancient knowledge, memories, and connection, which is interesting because with that ancient knowledge, it's kind of sort of giving me High Priestess vibes. I don't even know if you ever see this. Let's see if I get it up there. Can y'all read that? It is so bright. I won't complain. That's a song. One of the things that I found, especially recently, the most helpful on my journey, it's a lot easier to awaken to things. It's a lot easier to come into your intuition and into your gifts when you are fully utilizing them. And so if you are muting yourself and if you're not speaking your truth, you're going to slow down the amount of time it takes to get to where you want to be. And again, you don't necessarily always have to be extremely blunt, direct, and confrontational, but I wouldn't necessarily give in to what other people are saying either. It would be really interesting if there's a 4 over here because the 5 of swords came out here. And then there's like the 5 wands that form the star and then the 4 wands that frame it. And the 4 wands that frame it is the 4 of wands. Like that's how the wands are laid out in the 4 of wands. And then I believe with the 5 of wands, they're laid out as the 5 in this 9. So that's why I read the 4 and the 5. So it's like there's an area that you really want to get to with that 4 of wands, but you have this 5 of wands sitting on top of it. There's some kind of sort of conflict that you have to break through. And as you begin to use your voice, you're going to be awakening those parts of you that would stand resilient. And you're going to be tapping into those parts of you with the ancient knowledge of this awakening that really know what to do already in the situation. But as long as you continue to buy into what other people are saying or what other people think, as long as you are running programs and operating in ways that aren't you, but in ways that were instilled in you, it's going to keep you from fully claiming all of this truth with this Sovereign of Swords, right? And a sovereign versus ruler, to me, a ruler implies more giving, and a sovereign to me implies more standing in that power, right? It's like the sovereign, like a sovereign nation is one who governs itself, but to be a ruler of a nation is to, you know, rule the people, engage, interact, do what's best for other people. The sovereign, and it's not always, but a sovereign does what's best for them, what's right for them, using what they have at their disposal, but also using their connections and their resources wisely. So again, on this side, it's like it's time to do what's right for you in order for you to really awaken that part. Now over here is the four. No, it's the wand. It's the wand. Oh my gosh, it's the world and the seeker of swords. I thought it was the four of wands because you can't really see it, probably, but we have that same diamond shape, but it's not four wands making this diamond shape. It's what are these? Leaves, like the laurel wreath, but there are leaves framing this. There's an eye in the middle with a wand. Yeah, there's a wand in this world card. Interesting. And a snake. A snake. And there are wings here. And then in the Seeker of Swords, this is Page of Swords energy. We have a sword pointed downward. It also has wings. This is a bird. There's a bird on top of the sword. But the bird is flying up. So the sword is pointing downwards, but the bird is flying from sword point to the hilt. Again, get it in there. Oh, that's you can kind of sort of see it at that angle a little bit. Can't you? Can't you? Dun, 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 can't you? Okay. Um. So over here with the secret, it's interesting that we have the Secret of Swords over here and the Sovereign of Swords over there, and it's almost like there's this movement. Then maybe this triangle, right? Um. Excuse me. Or this is just like whatever you're seeking again, you can't really do it by doing it someone else's way. You have to do it your own way. And with the Seeker of Swords, it's almost like you're trying to find something new within you in the mental plane, but it's like the energy of like, let's say that you want to fix your car, but you don't know any mechanics. Like, are you going to listen to the people in your environment when it comes to fixing your car if they don't know anything about cars, or are you going to seek out a mechanic? With the Seeker in the world, it's also interesting because over here it's like the information is within you. Over here it's almost feeling like the information is outside, or you're seeking it in the world. I just want to know if it's possible, is what just popped into my mind. Like, I just want to know if I can do it. I just want to know that I'm not crazy. I just want to know that I'm not wasting my time. I just want to know if it's possible. And so you're looking outside to see if anyone else is doing it or if anyone else has done it. But there are some times when we get the idea first, and it's for us to blaze that trail. And if we don't do it, then someone else will do it. Especially depending on what it is. If it's something that needs to be done for the collective, if you don't do it, someone else will, because ideas kind of sort of float in that mental space. Also, it is interesting because we have the 4 here and we got the 4 here. So we kind of sort of got a 4 and a 5, even though we don't have a 4 and a 5. And so then it almost makes me, I'll flip that after. It almost makes me look at this in a different way. Because if the 4 wands represent the world and they lay behind this 5 wands, this is you changing the world. Instead of you finding stability in a space of uncertainty. Now with the world and the seeker, it's like the world is looking for something. The world is seeking something. And what the world is seeking is you. You have the answer. But you're not allowing the truth to come forth because you're so concerned with what other people are saying and thinking and doing. What they have said in the past or what they will say in the future. And it's leading you to your awakening so you can step into this sovereign power, bring this information, because before something can become physical, it first must be mental, right? A lot of times. It's a lot easier to go from an idea to a concept, to go from an idea and a concept to like a product than it is to just straight up make a product with no concept, no idea. It's like, I just threw 15 things together and then out came this, miracle. It's like, okay, well, that's not always how it happens. And if it does kind of sort of happen that way, a lot of times it's because someone was trying to do something else and they just so happened to find this. So it's random, but it isn't fully random. So yeah, so where things are solid right now, it's kind of sort of for you to come in and to shake things up a little bit. I mean, everything is so volatile and in the air right now anyway. So many people are like, I feel like there are a lot of people who want change, but there are some people who want it that since they don't see how it could happen, they'd rather stick to whatever it is. And again, it feels like the world is seeking you. Pile one. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And that's why I guess this bird is here. It's like the information with the sword pointing down, it's like you're receiving these downloads that are teaching you how to fly because the bird is flying up. And then we have this radiant energy sort of around here. It's a brand new light for the whole world to see because there's an eye in the world. And it's looking up at the flame on this wand. And the flame on this wand, when this bird hits the hilt, because there's also a little eye on the hilt, the bird will be the center of all this radiant energy. It will be the flame. But this bird can't go here, and there are wings on this at the tip of the sword as well. The bird can't get here if it never moves. Here we have releasing. Oh my gosh. Let it out. Releasing is number 32, which is another 5. So yeah, be the 5. Be the 5. Here's the 5. Here's the 4. There's the 9. Like, hello, it's you. Purification, spiritual cleansing, and letting go. That's releasing. Letting go again of everything that people may say about you. Letting go of everything that you may sort of think about you. I feel like sometimes people get into our minds so much that we sort of adopt their view of us. And so we keep ourselves from being ourselves, and we tell ourselves oh, you're so weird, this is why no one likes you. Right? Or you could just be like, you're unique and you're quirky and you may be an acquired taste, but girl, you fine. And not everyone, can appreciate the finer things in life. It's not my fault that no one around me has any taste, right? You can switch that narrative. You can release yourself from all of this to come into this awakening, right? This awakening does go with this because this is you coming into this sovereign of swords, new knowledge and awareness. But after you do that, after you release all of this, that's what really opens you up to this awakening. And it's these two energies, they play hand in hand. Because the more you release, the more you'll trust, the more you'll be shown. And then, as you trust more, you release more. And then you awaken more. So they're all happening at the same time, but this is a process getting you to be the person that the world needs you to be. And like what one of the best things about this is like you're sitting at this 9 space, so you're almost at completion. But one of the best things about this is with this being the suit of wands, I feel like the world isn't asking you to be anything that you don't want to be. The world isn't asking you to do anything that you don't want to do. Like you're gonna get fulfillment in this. It's a beautiful path. It doesn't like the. I feel like most of the sacrifice that it requires is in this releasing, is in this letting go. So that's what I got for you, Power One. Like, you're amazing. You're a bright light. Don't dim yourself and don't allow yourself to be dimmed. And all the best moving forward. So much love and so much light and so much strength and so much courage and so much bravery and so much patience with yourself. Your way from me. Ciao, ciao. Pow two, what it do? Welcome in, Pow two. How are y'all doing today? I don't know why, but with y'all, I feel a lot of excitement sort of bubbling up in my chest right now. And I just want to I'm seeing a star. And I kind of sort of laid these out as a star, but I closed my eyes to breathe, and like a star is just like. But one of like the left tip of the star has something going on with it. Like it doesn't, but it does. It's kind of sort of like starfish vibes, honestly, because it's a star, but there are so many things. It's like instead of just the outline of a star, it's like I'm seeing the heart, and then there's something going from the heart of the star to every branch. And when it does that, it gives the star more dimension. When you give something more surfaces, now a star holds its own light. But if you give something more surfaces, like it can reflect more light in different like angles. And so pile two, I haven't done anything, but immediately what comes to mind is you may not be able to take a direct approach. You may have to apply a little bit of cunning to whatever this area is. And we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. I was going to start at the top and then do whatever, but I'm feeling it bottoms up. Bottoms up, bottoms up. Knock your head back, let it slide down your throat. What did he say? Put it in your mouth and let it slide down your throat hole. Ooh, girl, y'all got the whole gosh darn anchor. You get the anchor at the bottom left. So the anchor and the 3 of coins. Pile 2, I would say, just right off the bat, your foundation is very solid. And if you're worried about sort of like not being ready to go on a new endeavor or a new adventure or to pursue a new business venture or whatever, it's like your foundation is very solid. You are very knowledgeable and you'd be fine. Now, the 2 of Swords is crossing behind the ram skull. Oh my gosh, you can actually kind of sort of see these. So, pile 2, you already showing up a little better than pile 1. I don't know if pile 1 can see their cards. But you got the 3. This is the pillar. No, this is the pillar. This is the 3 of Pentacles, the 3 of Coins. The anchor, sorry. It's the anchor and the 3 of Coins. So there are 2 swords crossed behind this. I think this is about knowing when to speak and knowing when to hold your tongue. It isn't necessarily about questioning yourself or doubting yourself, but have you ever been like talking to somebody and they come to you with an issue? I've worked a few customer service jobs. Not necessarily like straight up customer service, but basically like a receptionist job at some of the dorms on campus. And so, customer service is just a part of it. But have you ever been approached by somebody and they have an issue and they start to talk to you and you think you know what their problem is, but the more they talk, like, oh, okay, they're not having the standard issue. And so it's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't say anything before they kept talking because then I wouldn't have addressed their concern. So there's also a space of needing to listen a little bit more before you just go like full force. And again, it's knowing when to speak and it's knowing when to listen. Because with this Three of Pentacles, it's like they're crossing here. There are two swords crossing here, but there's a compass here, a drawing compass. And so it's like it's opening over here, but they're crossed here. And there's also lots of like Aries energy here. Not just because the ram, but the horns on the ram are like foil gold, and this upwards pointing triangle is solid foil gold, and the upwards pointing triangle is the element of fire. So there's lots of fire here. There's also this rose. So this kind of sort of, let me see if I can look and see what in the coins. Girl, what's that? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Well, that's fire. That almost looks like wings. So would that be like water? Oh, yeah. So it looks like in one coin is water, and another coin is fire, and the third coin is a pair of wings for air, and then this is the suit of coins. But also, there's a rose going from the center of the drawing compass, and it's blooming out at the top. So there's this rose stem that's here, and then you see the petals at the top. You probably can't see it, but in each of the coins, we have 3 different elements. And maybe this is why your foundation is really solid. And this is the anchor, right? And so it's like, Pile 2 is holding it down. I don't want to necessarily get stuck on this for too long, but I do want to give this the time it needs. And take that as part of the message, right? It's like, because Aries energy is super cardinal. But with this Three of Pentacles, the 3 is a number of growth and expansion, right? It's like 2 people and a baby becomes a family. Your family's expanded, It's like you're rubbing 2 nickels together to get 20. Your money is expanded. But sometimes for optimal expansion, you have to learn to slow down a little bit. Oh, wait. These are, there you go. I can see them a little better, maybe. Yeah, there we go. It's interesting because the parts that stand out the most are like the parts that are foiled gold, but they look like the darkest parts on the camera. It's interesting. So yeah, you're starting out very, very, like you're in a very, very, very good position with a lot of tools at your disposal. It looks like the one thing you're missing is patience, because you have the fire, you have the water, you have the air, all in the pentacles. So it's almost like when it comes to the emotional part of it, you're done. When it comes to the mental part of it, you're done. When it comes to like stoking the fire, like you want to do this, so the fire is done. You're just sort of waiting, and I'm about to pop one of these icebreakers because I love them. When it comes to the sort of waiting, the patience, the earth, the practicality, the actual resources, you're at the 3. So maybe also you're acquiring resources right now, and it's almost like you want to get multiple quotes before you just settle with a supplier, right? You don't necessarily always want to go with the first one that comes to mind. Unless you are like 100% sure that that is the one, then go with the first one. But don't allow your impatience or you wanting to really do this to get you to sort of step before you need to. And I never pick a pile. I never pick one for myself before I start. I don't know why. I'm like, is this me? So we're gonna do this a little interesting. I'm gonna read this one and then this one, this oracle card, and then I'll read this card and this card. Also, I didn't mention on any of these, but I'm using the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators and the Weaver Tarot Journeyman Edition. 5 Threads of Fate. Well, here's this box. You can't even see it. You can't even see it. It's fine. I'll put them down in the description box, I guess. I never do that, but I will, since I said I'll do it. I'll do it for you. I wanted to call you Aries. You might be an Aries, or you may have Aries strong in your chart. If you don't have a placement in Aries, look and see what house you have Aries in. With this being the Three of Pentacles, it feels like it would be the 2nd house, the 6th house, or the 10th house, because those are Earth houses. But I'm getting like heavy 10th house vibes. Because it almost feels like work. Almost. But it could also be in the 5th house. If this is like a passion project. Anyway. Ooh, girl. We got the whole gosh darn Hierophant. So, yeah. The Hierophant is Taurian energy. We have 2 keys. Keys speak to initiation. Keys speak to inquiry and process. But the keys, you have the silver key and the golden key, and those are the 2 keys of the kingdom. The silver key is often corresponded to the moon, with the golden key often corresponded with the sun. Also, there's a tooth here and a big old crescent moon. The tooth speaks to wisdom. Oh, let me show you, if you can see. Oh, you can kind of. Oh, there you go. You can kind of sort of see the 2 keys with the moon. But this is more earth energy. The Hierophant also speaks to commitment. So if you do have a lot of Aries in your chart, this is the amount of patience you're going to need to have. Because this 3 of coins isn't the 8 of coins or the 7 of coins. The 7 of coins is the gardener, right? You know, you have your planting season, you have your tending season, and then you have your harvest season. The 8 of coins is, you know, the artisan. So, you know, you go through your apprenticeship, and then you go, when you become a little bit more adept, you hone your craft, and then once you're good enough, you know, you sort of establish a name for yourself, and you become a master craftsman. Those are cards like the Suit of Pentacles is the Suit of Earth, the Suit of Coins, and it's very slow. It's very dedicated. It's going to require some dedication. And like you come out with this anchor energy. So I feel like you just really need to ground yourself. But again, with this Hierophant, it's speaking to an area of commitment. Like this ain't a get rich quick type of thing. So if you're the type of person that needs instant validation, put that aside, because you're gonna feel like you're a lot more behind than you actually are. Right? You need to be in this for the long haul. There's quite a ways to go from the 3 of coins to the 10 of coins, where you sort of reach that completion. There's 7 coins there. This is going to be continuous care. It's like you may not harvest this until like 6 months from now. Right? But there's also the moment where the seed sprouts. Right? Where it pops up above the ground for the first time. So even though it's not ready to harvest, there are different stages that you will celebrate along the way until you reach that harvest. So look forward to those. It's giving me a 4 of Wands energy. Make sure you celebrate those moments, because those are going to be the moments that make the fight worthwhile, or that make the fight a little bit easier, because you know you can see progress. Appreciate the progress, and don't constantly look at. It's like appreciate the progress instead of dreading the lack of completion. And then we have higher perspective. Yes, number 21. This is the cosmos, awakening, and unity. I love that we have higher perspective with this Hierophant energy, because that's what the Hierophant is all about. The Hierophant is all about higher perspective, but it's sort of about introducing that higher perspective into our daily lives, right? And if you think about Hierophant energy, it's very clerical, like a clergyman. It's the Pope, the bishop, the pastor, it's a man of faith. And so again, it's like we're introducing this higher perspective into our daily lives. So know your reason why. What is your why? Why are you doing this? Why did you start? Why did you embark upon this quest, upon this journey? Why this specifically? And if ever it gets hard, go back to why you started. Go back to why you chose this. Go back to why you're doing it. Also know with this higher perspective that you are being aided and assisted in this process, especially if this is of matters related to what you need to be doing in this lifetime, or the direction that is like yours. And again, it comes with this hierophant energy. It's sort of also about collaborating and communicating with spirit. And with the higher perspective, it may also be the case. I was kind of sort of getting it for Power One. I don't know if I'm getting a whole bunch of entrepreneurs or people are about to start coming into entrepreneurial energy or what. We'll see when I get to number 3. But it's almost like with this higher perspective and with this hierophant, it could be the case that, especially with this 3 of coins, you are going